Stable diffusion or whatever that fixes everything.
There you
Oh,
go.
our intro apparently didn't play.
Oh, awkward.
Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry. Hello there, DMO73 here. I'm joined by Paul Reisman
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
and Rustin WW. How's it going, Rustin?
Hey there, Rustin here. Doing pretty alright. What about yourself, Jeremy?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. Happy
I
to have you finally here on the podcast. It's your favorite
so
ever
long.
live Force of Will podcast. It's office hours. We are here to talk about all things Force of Will as we get prepped for FoW Fest, and we're joined by special guest Rustin. Like I said, glad to have you here, buddy. And but before we get started, I think we all gotta just kind of let's crack one open here.
Did not pick up on my mic whatsoever, but
I picked on my mic at least.
cheers.
Cheers. Ready to go. This past week, a couple of days ago, we actually got a new video from Force of Will, so we're going to talk about that in a second. But as always, just some housekeeping notes here. If you haven't already, you should be going to FoW Fest. Just plain as day. There's information in the description. Everybody on this podcast is going to be at FoW Fest. It's going to be a great time. Link in the description to find all the information. I believe the hotel block might be sold out at this point, but you can still give them a call. And so we'll go, hope to see you there, but there's plenty of other nice hotels in the nearby area that you can go check out. And, hold on one second. My son is being, a little bit obnoxious and trying to get, my attention. One moment. Paul, talk to Rustin for a bit.
So, Rustin,
So, Paul,
hello.
hello.
This is your first time on the podcast.
Well, yes, it is.
What are you excited about the podcast?
About the
tonight?
podcast to talk about. That is a solid question. All honesty, I'm just happy to be here.
I mean, that's a
Uh,
pretty low bar to set, so I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah,
we cleared it with flying colors.
yeah. But an honest answer, really, I just these spoilers have been very interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like this set's gonna be like confusing. Like whenever I'm like first getting my hands on it, but I think like after playing with it for a while, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably not going to like dive headfirst into a new deck. I might want to actually like run a deck I'm comfortable with against someone who is more competent with the new cards. Just to like, I kind of like learn from getting beat down. I'm gonna be honest. Like there's a tournament where I was playing a deck and it was obviously a lower power deck and I was just like kind of like ooh, what looks good here, and it's like, oh, Thief Moves looks pretty good. I kind of want to try that out after I like got beat down by like 2 or 3 matches, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm very interested in the new cards. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the new stuff too. I've kind of settled on new Reflect Refrain as kind of like my go-to comfort deck since the Orban ban, mainly because like Reflect Refrain was the ruler that earned me my first invite to Worlds. So there's also some like connection to those characters
The
in that
bias.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also just Paul can attest to this too. I love playing decks that are just trying to have a game of Force of Will. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't really like to play decks that are just like non-interactive, try to kill you as fast as possible. Like I like to have the experience of playing a game with someone and like that flex my brain. I get enough mindless card game stuff from playing Lorcana with
Ooh.
Alice because that game is not very brain intensive. So I like playing like decks that make me think, and Reflect Refrain is definitely that. So that's been fun for me.
Yeah, you're a competitive man who is slowly being converted to Johnnyism, which I really appreciate because Johnnyism is where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Um but yeah, FoW Fest, back to our housekeeping notes. FoW Fest is coming up. Information in the description. I believe that we either completely sold out of the room block at this point, or you can still call the Radisson directly if the website is down to see if there's still room block stuff there. But there's plenty of other hotels and Airbnbs in Kalamazoo area that are relatively decently affordable. So if you haven't already checked it out, go Let's get signed up. As you can see, there's this massive pile of stuff behind me that's not even everything that I have in this house to give away. It's like 6 boxes of stuff just in my room. It's crazy. And there's still stuff being delivered. So like I so much crazy stuff. Also, hopefully by the time this podcast is going live, but if not in the next couple days, be on the lookout. Odyssey will be posting their pre-orders for next set, Judgment of the Rogue Planet. You will certainly want to get that. This set is looking insanely cool and definitely not a set you're going to want to skip. So definitely be sure to go get your pre-orders in through Odyssey as soon as that comes up.
Man, the reprint value alone is just...
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. Farers, Oberazuki, the 6 contracts.
Oh wait, so is it confirmed that it's going to be like all of them and not just like a random? Oh, okay.
The pack for the contracts is one of all 6.
Oh, okay.
And it's the world's art ones.
So even
it's
better.
the like world's art like contracts, just without the world stamping on them. So they're very, very nice. So that'll be a lot of fun. But the biggest thing is we got a video this week. Can't wait for an entire set of Asmodeus support. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Attendant of Asmodeus stonks go way up in this set for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if that card eats a ban though, to be perfectly honest. Like, because of how this set is dropping and just like intentionality of card design, I would not be surprised if that card ate a ban in order to not like open the floodgates of what they're going to try to do with this set. So a video came out this week from Brio and Kawamoto-san talking about some updates to the CR and some like common questions. But we also got some cool cards to kind of talk about through there. The biggest things to come out of the videos is specifically how a little bit more information about how the stack works. Because if you notice here, the card on the screen, Dominatus Chronogear, it gives the J ruler at the top of its stack an ability. And so people were like, well, if I reincarnate something, does it gain all of the text of Dominatus Chronogear? And no, they clarified that the reincarnation only gives you the names and abilities of the card that you're reincarnating on. So Rhea reincarnates onto Rhea, gets all of Rhea's names. Alice reincarnates onto Alice, gets all of Alice's names. Dominatus, if it gets added to the stack by its own ability, just gives it that one bonus ability, not everything. Though keep in mind that Dominatus does have reincarnation of Tina. So Dominatus does have a way to get all of Tina's abilities. But the main thing I want to talk about is this promo artwork, actually. The Dominatus Chronogear that we saw when it was spoiled was just like the pure mech. And this promo buy a box one is Tina wearing the armor, which I think is friggin' sick. This is probably the first time in a while that I think the buy a box promo I've liked better than the OG artwork.
Yeah, no, art-wise, this is phenomenal, yeah. It's also nice to have more of an understanding of scale. At least I'm assuming that this is just kind of like a body armor situation with the art.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, I always imagined that for the Chrono Gear, it was like a giant mech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, no, we have a confirmation with the size because of the Death Scythe Chrono Gear, like the Mimi's actually like working on them.
Yeah.
Or Mumu's, I mean, yeah. Yeah, so I want, it's a art-wise very interesting.
Yeah, I think the last time, I'm trying to like think back of the buy a box promos, right? Because all of the buy a box promos for Hero Cluster, the buy a box promo for set 1, I don't remember what it was. That's how impressive it was for me.
Yeah.
But like set 2, set 3, set 4 were like a secret rare, right? Like a secret rare art that could only be on those. Hero Cluster was just, Dual Cluster was Guinevere which obviously we liked the one in the set better.
Yeah.
Mariabella and Violet, which we liked the one in the set better. I don't remember the one that was, I think it was Kaguya Enters the Game of Gods
Yep.
for set 1.
And then
I
like Odin
honestly,
for the buy box or whatever.
yeah, and then Odin, and I think I like the OG artworks for those better. So this is like the first time in at least an entire 2 clusters that I've liked the buy a box artwork better than the OG. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I showed up to our date wearing this, what would you do? Oh, Todd, you have a new channel name. You changed your channel name. Nice that. Good to see you, Todd. Yeah, so pretty cool here. The other thing that's interesting to note about this card is that it has the second 2 abilities, the tap ability and the inheritance ability, are different text than the card we've seen already. And I say that because this gives me big, like, in development vibes. Like, just really, like, lays home the in development that we've been seeing, which is why we haven't been super going hard on the spoilers that's been shared in terms of, like, how good or bad is this card, because these are different abilities. Like, I think the one that's printed that we saw in the other video is just, like, put a card from your RFG on the bottom of your deck, destroy something, whereas this is a tap ability, which is significantly different in terms of implications. And the inheritance is also different as well.
Well, it should be like Pokemon thing where it's like, you have different Pikachus that all have different abilities or something, but it's the same name.
Stop. No, thank you.
It's gonna be...
I don't want to deal with
that
one's
nonsense. Pikachu level 12, and this one's Pikachu level 9. So
this one has Thunderbolt. This one has Thundershock instead.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
this one only has Quick Attack for 2 colorless energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's exciting. It's a cool card. This whole, like, we haven't really talked about this too much, but I'm curious your thoughts, Rustin, because you played in the Judgment era, you played in the Order era, you played in the Tag era of, like, contracts. This whole idea of reincarnation and the stack, like J-Ruler stacks, feels like a really cool way to bring Judgment back into the, like, relevancy. I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
I feel like it's been mentioned before, but it definitely gives me like a perfect Loki kind of vibe of, like, just like boosting your J-Ruler a bit. And we talked about this, Paul and I, a little earlier about it's a very interesting mechanic, and I feel like because of how complex it is, I'll want someone that's more competent to run a deck against me, just so I can get a better feel for it.
Sure.
As it looks right now, I'm just like, I'm reading it, but I need to get hands-on with it to get a better feel.
For sure. I think the one thing that strangely made me not as excited, like, I was excited and then I was immediately like, is the fact that this Chrono Gear like, the implications of the fact that this Chrono Gear has reincarnation for Tina, who's a contract ruler, not a judgment ruler. And I was really hoping that, like, reincarnation was going to be pretty limited to just judgment rulers. Like, that was kind of my hope. So the fact that a contract ruler has a reincarnation form is already like, like this was, please don't do a ton of it. Like, if Tina's the only one that we see come through into this new set, right? Like, which kind of feels lore wise, like, that feels very probable with how much they've very much put their finger on the scale with Hyde and Tina. Like, it's very much thumbs on the scale. I would be okay with it, right? Like, if Tina's the only one who gets this, like, bonus reincarnation as a contract ruler, I'd be fine with it. But reincarnation feels like it's a way to bring Judgment some weight, and so I wouldn't want to just see every type of J-Ruler mechanic get reincarnation added to its pool.
Definitely.
From where I'm sitting, the new rulers in this new set were all kind of mid for the most part, except for Branhart, right? Branhart definitely was the most evidently strong ruler coming out of that set. And that was, we kind of said before, like that was kind of supposed to be maybe a new cluster, but they extended out hero cluster to include that. So right around this time, we'd be getting new structure decks, right? Or at
Yeah.
least a new wave of support. And this kind of feels like Tina's the Aristella of this cluster, if that makes any sense, right?
Of like these two sets,
Very
like Tina's like
Of these two sets, yeah. If these
Yeah.
two sets were another cluster, she feels like she would be like the main protagonist in that cluster.
Especially with the connections to Alice and everything else, right? Like Branhart just is like, cool, Electra showed up and made you stronger, and now Electra's gonna leave and say like, peace out, yo. But like Tina
Hey,
has
did you play in Grim Cluster near the end? Oh, well, this is what it was like.
characters. Do you like them? Cool, peace out. They're gone. Is character a waifu? No, no more. You let go of them. They're not coming back.
Yeah,
I'm very
really
curious
interested to
about.
see-
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So is
Sorry,
Falchion a
there's little bit
waifu
of
then?
delay here.
No, just we
He's a
all got-
husband. He's
he's a
enough of a husbando. He's enough of a husbando. To,
I mean, Falchion's been getting a lot of love. He's had 2 Resonators already.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
think
Go ahead.
the idea that we are somehow going to like reform Judgment by giving things like reincarnation, I think, really helps. The lore really helps to explain why this is happening now. I also think it really gives people who have been playing this game for 10 years a real sense of like, okay, maybe my former deck can actually do something interesting and new if we were to get like, I don't know, like a side set that was just like, here's 20 new like cards that can work with these older rulers, right?
Yeah, that very much feels like what they were hinting towards with Pilgrim Memories. The fact that set 1 is literally just nothing, like Pilgrim Memories 1 is just a Grim Cluster support set. Makes me feel like we're going to see a bunch of reincarnations for Grim Cluster rulers in that set, right? Which I think would be dope considering we have Crimson Moon Battleground to let any of them tag together, right? Of like, okay, now we're carrying some weight. Like that feels like very, very cool. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that for sure.
Did you see the extension rule getting reprinted in that? Just to have it like
Crimson Moon, yeah, just to have it readily available. Yeah, just like throwing in a Crimson Moon Battleground into Pilgrim Memories just so everyone can have it. I think that'd be an easy thing to do. We do have one card that was shown off here. Solarize Guard Water is a 4-cost 5/10 with Solarization 3. Return up to 2 target non-Magic Stone, non-J-Ruler entities to their owner's hand. Remove the top card of your deck from the game. Put a non-Magic Stone water card from your removed area into your hand. That's crazy. Good as of, I mean, like, I'm gonna say that I'm very, very glad that Solarization is all or nothing, and they clarified that in the video. Like, you have to be able to pay the full void cost with cards, or you have to pay the full void cost with void, right? You don't get to like slightly discount it, because even this card being a 2-drop would be gross. Like, the fact that you have to wait until you have those full 3 cards just feel like a heavy Solarized engine is going to require a lot of work, which is part of the reasons why I'm looking at stuff like Attendant of Asmodeus just taking the bullet like when this set drops.
Yeah, notably, this is a really good water card that is not a 2-drop.
Yeah, unfortunate for you.
Unfortunate.
Man, can you imagine if this was a 2-drop? Olivia would be playable.
wow.
Hey, why'd you wake up today and choose violence?
I don't know. I did. Honestly, though, I think I talked about this before. I gave Paul a bunch of crap for it behind the scenes, but I actually think Paul probably should have won that match against Tree that we put on the channel. I think if Paul had just played it a little bit differently, I think Olivia would have actually won the game.
Like if Paul weren't so freaking excited to be playing Force of Will, he could actually have won. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Paul wasn't having fun.
Yeah, you can't have fun if you want to win. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
An unexpected spoiler that came out of this is that they totally showed us the entire text of, presumably the entire text of the Marvel Rare Alice that was previously blurred. They were just like, hey, here you go. Here's the entire text. So I'm going to just review. It's a little bit blurry on the screen, so I'll kind of read it here because I have it. So she's an 8-cost Fairy Queen Legacy, 1700, 1500. That stat line is huge, by the way. Reincarnation on Alice Fairy Queen, which is even more gross. the fact that Alice Fairy Queen, we can play Valkyrie Alice because it has the same name. So her judgment is potentially 0, which means you could potentially play this card for 0. And when you're reincarnating it, she would get all of the abilities of the Valkyrie Alice, which just means you then just recover all of your like, gross. Mythic Swiftness Flying. You can pay 1 less to play this card for every fairy you control. Or, oh, by the way, you can just play this as a Resonator because you're already swarming the field with fairies. Don't worry about it. That's fine. Enter, search your deck for any number of cards named Fairy Lightning and reveal them and put them into your hand. Don't know what Fairy Lightning is, but it seems very similar to like Rhea's. I imagine that all of them will have some kind of like searchable thing when you reincarnate them. Goddard, Shield of Arcadia, pay 1 white, search your deck for a card named Protection of the Fairies, and then play it without paying its cost and shuffle your deck. Keep that in mind. That is an addition that gives something barrier and +2/+2, I think.
Like a temporary barrier?
Prevent the next damage and +2/+2.
Oh, sure.
It's not that good, Jeremy.
That's good. Pay 0, produce 1 white, spend this will only to play God's Art abilities or fairies. Play this ability only if you control a J ruler named Alice Fairy Queen, which, oh, by the way, she would be. So other copies of them in your hand, once you've reincarnated one, you can discard the other one to inheritance and produce white. So that's neat. This card seems really, really good for fairies. Like, really, really good.
Yeah, like an actual bomb. Like,
yeah.
I'm also going to be running Artillerist in this deck.
Okay, but... Oh, go ahead, Rustin, sorry.
So you can just discard the 8-drop?
Yeah, I mean, like, once you get one on the board, you might as well just Artillerist the other, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
60.
Yeah, just shoot. Yeah, this is, especially considering it's a white card, so then Brunhild can make its stat line bigger, or its cost bigger, and it's like, oh, it's an 11 cost. Take 22. Like, dang it.
Oh, look, I just
yeah, the call out to the old school edition is also very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot, Robert, for sure.
Sorry for interrupting you, Paul.
Oh, that's okay. Like, there's some weird thing going on with mics and audio right now, so I'm not sure what
all good. Yeah, this card is first off beautiful. Anytime Wednesday makes an Alice artwork, I'm just like mwah, so good. And just a cool card even just by itself. In the fairy deck it's great, in the Alice deck it's great. It gives me a lot of, like, it makes me very excited for what Gil and Ayu and Nyarlathotep are going to be like, right? It just has me more excited to see what they're going to be like. The fact that I might get to play Gil again, I loved Gil, and I get a reincarnated Gil that I can dinner time on one and Judgment Gil into a reincarnated Gil. Like, are you telling? Excuse me? Yes, please. I get to play Leaf Paladin again.
Leaf Rangers. Let's go.
Leaf Rangers go. It's very, very exciting. I have very high hopes for this set. It's going to be very cool.
Just to confirm,
that being said, go ahead.
For reincarnation, you just stack this card on top of the G ruler when you do Judgment. Like, there's no cost associated with it, right?
Nope. Well, so these have reincarnation 0, so there might be some cards later that have reincarnation with a cost.
Gotcha. It's not just some
seems
weird piece of the art. That's an actual number. Okay, got it.
That's an actual number. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
It essentially services as, so like Perfect Loki essentially had reincarnation 0, but it had reincarnations in a sense. It had reincarnation 0 as long as you paid black to Judgment Loki. So this is kind of like a less restrictive version of that. So it doesn't even use the chase because it's as Judgment resolves, you just like pay the cost and add it on. It's just exactly how Perfect Loki worked. So, and the pandas will be forgotten.
There'll be some nice future proofing for if they ever want to like have a counter to it, similar to that one arena that taxed Judgment or whatever from Game of Gods.
Or like something that says like your ruler, they can't reincarnate, or like if they go to reincarnate they must pay XYZ more. Kind of
good
thing.
Future proofing,
yeah, for sure. I think that's good thinking ahead in terms of what they're gonna do there. And then I'm trying to see if there was anything else that really came out. Oh, they did do some housekeeping stuff in terms of clarifying that a J ruler token can be banished. This is important because of the spell from Dominatus. Not the Dominatus Chronogear itself, but the like spell that they showed off with it that like could make a J ruler could like make a token of something. And so the thought was like, well, if I make a copy of a J ruler, I'll pull up the card image here because I have it. I have to go digging. Where is it at? Gotta go hunting. Was it this one? Nope, that's Aristella. Is this one? Yeah, okay. I'll pull it up on screen here really quickly. It was the Dominatus Solarized Gladius, the Regalia. It says tap, banish this card. You may reveal a card named Dominatus Star Gladius you own from outside the game until end of turn. If you do, put a J Ruler token copy of its J Ruler side into the field. It gains gears in addition to its type, and at the beginning of the next end of turn, if this card is a token, its controller banishes it. So people were like, okay, but J Rulers can't be banished, so how does that work? And they clarified that a J Ruler token can still be banished. A J Ruler card type can't be banished, but a J Ruler token can be banished. So good old future proofing, which is nice. Gotta love CR updates to match an ever-evolving game. And then we got 2 new spoiled cards in this video, too. We got 2 wonderful, cool, new replicants, which was awesome. The first one being... doing some editing on the fly. We're going to talk about Genshi Tenshon first.
Ooh. This is a really interesting one.
I really like this card a lot. I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
So Replicant Genshi Tenshon, 1 green or 1 blue. And we are considering this version of this card finalized because Kawamoto-san specifically was like, here you go. Like the design, one of the leads on the design team was like cards. So we're pretty sure these are finalized. But 1 blue, 1 red, 1 void replicant, 6/10 solarization 1 with belligerence and barrier. If you played this card with solarization, it cannot be canceled. Dig it. This card gains if a fire source you control would deal damage, it deals that much plus 400. And at the end of your turn, draw a card as long as you control a will coin token. Enter if you do not control a will coin token and this card was played without being paid for by a will coin token. So you can't like burn will coin, play this and get a will coin back, which is Fair. It gains banish. You gain a will coin token in your item area that can banish to produce one will. You essentially make yourself a will coin, which is very cool because Genshi Tenshon's whole mechanic was the emblems. So this is kind of making the will coin into like producing an emblem. And this is literally his like effect from his DBV card on a new body. Like this is a very, very, very cool card.
Seems like being replicated made him better.
Yeah. Not wrong.
Remind me what belligerence is again? That keyword.
Can
I know
attack
that's new to the set.
can attack J/resonators the turn he comes into the field.
Gotcha.
So swiftness but not face.
Gotcha. Or rush from Lorcana.
Yeah, or rush from
Gotcha.
This is a really cool card.
Yeah,
I really
I like this card a lot.
I might try to splash for him. I'm gonna be honest. It's so that enter ability is so cool.
That enter ability is really freaking cool, and it like makes it so that you would be it would be cool to play this guy outside of a replicant deck. Like he's just a good standalone resonator. Like Genshi Tenshon felt awful because it was so dependent on like other cards to like generate the emblems to be good. He's just kind of like, hey, I'm kind of self-sufficient and I've got a cool effect and I'm a pretty decent stat line and I've got barrier. Like the fact that he has barrier is also just a massive upgrade to the old Genshi Tenshon.
God.
That he has this continuous ability of just draw an extra card. Because by the way, keep in mind, it's not enter he gains this ability. It's just as long as you have a will coin, he has this ability, right? So if you resolve him successfully, you're drawing a card at the end of every one of your opponent's turns, or at the end of every one of your turns. It's just a free extra card, and he can just sit there on board. Very cool.
Question about that because of the timing. Will that be before cleanup step or?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Still,
so
though,
if it draws you up to 8, you'd have to discard back down to 7. Yeah.
Still solid though. Yeah.
So
guess you're playing Olga replicants correctly, now. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. If I'm remembering this correctly, Solarization does not care about the will attribute associated with the cards that you tuck, right?
It does. So in order to solarize this guy, you'd have to put one blue and or red card from your RFG back on the bottom of your deck.
There's a potential that we see something like Chivalry's Tears in like a Fushi list to like make this more viable in that particular list too.
Okay,
that's a way to do it.
I dig it.
Yeah,
get the brew.
All of the Brad spells are very neat for the solarization mechanic. Like the idea of the discard spell, removing a couple darkness cards in your graveyard to help pay the void cost of a darkness solarized card is very neat. It makes me very glad that it can't ever hit the actual attribute cost, that it's only for the void, because I'd be terrified if it was anything beyond that.
This also makes
still very, very cool.
Order Athenia very interesting to me.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Gonna have to start playing will coin hate. I don't have any will coin hate. Yeah, Attendant could be good in solarization decks, which is why we're honestly kind of hoping that boy gets banned. I'm not saying that like he has to get banned, because we have certainly enough stuff to mess with it. It's just kind of one of those similar kind of things of like Sinbad plus the like Moon Dust Revolution. Like, doesn't seem like it was intended when it was designed to interact with these cards in this way. So for the sake of overall healthy game environment, we're just going to like eliminate the older card to not open the floodgate. And I'm okay with that because that card is 3 years old. Can you imagine? The 7th is 3 years old.
Oh, speaking of that, I actively have been not running Garion all that much. And if Garion doesn't get banned, I might start running Garion again.
Yeah, because it pays for solarization stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I think Arian having one solarization is certainly fine. Library does help too. I think library in general helps. Yeah, for sure. We might see a little bit of a rise in it. We'll see. And then the other card that came out was, I got to do again some clever cropping here. Nope, not the bottom. The right. And then we'll slide this over.
On the
Oh, and
fly,
it's a
photo
screen grab.
editing.
We have Replicant Kaguya. We have quick cast Replicant, 1 white, 1 green, 2 void, solarization for 2, 8/7. Enter, cancel target spell. If the chosen target spell is canceled this way and you played this card with solarization, remove the top card of your deck from the game. So if you successfully canceled it and you discounted it, you also get to fuel later solarizations. Put a non-Magic Stone card that shares an attribute with this card from your removed area on the bottom of your deck. Produce 1 moon. Spend this will only to play cards, activate abilities, or judgment processes of cards you control with Kaguya or Moon Princess in its name you control. Play this ability only once per turn, meaning it can be using both turns. And pay 1 moon, cancel target automatic ability. Keep in mind that she's a card that has Kaguya in her name, which means that you can use cards from your RFG to make Moon to pay her ability to cancel target automatic ability. This is literally just every version of Kaguya, just like just combined into one card. Just like this is very cool. Kaguya's Moonbeam Butterfly. Like you can use this card to help pay for that. I'm trying to think of all the other Kaguya cards. You could use it for judgment of any of the Kaguyas, right? Like Friend from Another World's Kaguya, right? K1. See. Although that's only when she flips because she's Seer of the Blue Moon on her front side. This card's very cool. I like this card a friggin' lot.
Yeah, I'm just looking through all of the different cards we can use with this, right? Because it's only for activate abilities.
No, it's for
or judgment
cards. Cards like casting a card,
or
activate abilities, or judgment processes.
Okay,
so
Kaguya
Tribal.
That's some good Wanderer support.
Kaguya Tribal. Let's go.
So you can use it with Kaguya Rabbit Princess of the Lunar Moon, the Lunar Hero.
True.
Which also, I think you can feed it into its awakening cost. Kaguya's Moonbeam Butterfly. Kaguya Lunar Researcher. Don't do it. Kaguya's Pictorial Scroll. Maybe. Kaguya's Decision. If you know what that card is, why? Kaguya's Sealed God of the Moon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Princess Kaguya as well.
Yo-Yo Y talks about it does the things that green does without breaking the game. I would agree. I think this card is... I'm glad it's a 4-drop. I mean, obviously the solarization can get it down to being a 2-drop, but again, like solarization requires an engine, right? She feels very, very strong. But also really splashable in the Wanderer environment as a whole, which I think is very, very cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a cancel core here because we have Conflict of Memory and Soul, right?
Yeah.
So that card plus this is just like, oh hey, I'm gonna cancel your
setting the stage of Providence. Setting the stage of Providence goes way up.
Yeah.
Malira. Malira is also a card that like I could see being very, very good going into a deck that's trying to do Kaguya stuff, right? Just make your stuff uncancelable by Malira existing on board. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially since T2 has, or essentially since we got Death Metal back, right? You know, Malira plus Death Metal to like have this kind of like uncancelable board state, which is neat. Very, very cool. I like this card a lot. With this count, if I paid standbys for 1. Right? No, it would not. Because it's not Kaguya's activate ability to put a card face down for 1. Kaguya 1 has a discounted ability to put a card face down, but also Kaguya on her front side, K1 on her front side isn't Kaguya. She's Seer of the Blue Moon, so doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Good try, Dan. It's okay, buddy.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah, very cool. This has me very. So now we've seen 5 of the 10 replicants. So we're missing Dante, Deus Ex, Odin, Shiva, and who else? Loki. So we need to see Loki, Deus Ex, Shiva, Dante, and Odin. We've seen the other 5 being Alice, Kakia, Athenia, Genshi Tenshon, and Gnarly. Which, like, just can we just talk about how cool that is? That these like high gods are like the dual cluster finale is like re-emerging into what's going on with current lore. Like, that's just so cool. Like,
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to continue maintaining the characters in a way that was satisfying, right? Because it was like, oh, they're all dead.
They're all trapped in forever fighting Typhon. Hooray.
Heroes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, at least story wise, a very interesting way of saying like, okay, we're gonna sideline the older characters with this plot device so that you can get used to the new characters, right? And then we're gonna eventually bring them back, and then you have this whole host of characters, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool.
I'm really glad Generate Replicant isn't being unbanned.
I just need to errata to, and if we errata to just be replicants, that's still really good, right?
Yeah,
now.
I'm just saying. No, I honestly think.
Yeah.
With
no.
these, now that we've seen what these replicants can do, I'm also like, no, it's fine.
Yeah,
It can stay gone. It's okay. It's
Olga's
okay.
pretty solid already.
I mean, to be honest, they have done a fair job of making these like fairly high costed, right? Like Replicant Kaguya is a 4-drop, so like you would have to successfully cast all 4 of your swords, and like you couldn't cast Replicant Nyarlathotep or Replicant Alice or Replicant Athenia because they're all 5 or higher. Like, so like there's some balance there, but it's still like Olga was finding ways to recycle his swords anyway, so like maybe don't.
Yeah, spinning
Maybe
off the soul, just
Yeah.
a bunch of options.
Yeah.
Also, the
Also,
replicant.
like-
Oh, no, that gets great.
Oh, go ahead, Reston. I
Oh,
thought
no.
you were done. Go ahead.
No, I was like, oh well, it goes to the RFG, but I was like, no, it goes to Grave Volga. Yep, go ahead, Paul. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in other decks, the swords get removed, which means they can be, solarized.
Put back in the deck.
Yep.
Yeah, put back in the deck. Well, that's one thing that people have been talking about of like with Solaria's Wind, because Solaria's Wind is like tap, put a card from your grab a wind card from your RFG, put it in your hand, put a card from your hand into the RFG. So just like you could just infinitely cycle the same sword just by having Solaria's Wind, and it's like, maybe we don't do that.
Maybe we combo ban that.
It's an easy combo ban right there.
Yeah, I mean, and I have I want to see what the final text of Solaria's Wind is, right? Because the only thing we've seen of Solaria's Wind is being in development, right? But it seems like that's a pretty low-hanging fruit to be like, yeah, no, these can't belong together, which is fine, which is what the combination ban list is for, right? It gives us a cool space to explore, but also keeps those like degenerate little niches off the list. Doing the good work.
I also just appreciate how like all the replicants have this like thematic flavor text that is so badass.
Oh yeah, the end of silence.
The end of silence, the end of progression. Like,
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, these are. I mean, like this artwork is insane. Like it's so pretty. Like
Imagine Genshi in full art.
you can imagine Kaguya in full art foil.
I mean,
like
Yeah. I personally like Genshi's art more, is what I'm saying.
that's fair. That's fair. I think there's this piece of like, we talk about all the time about how, the pre-release mats are just like the rulers put together on a mat. But like, imagine a mat that's all 10 of these replicants. just like in a nice composition. Like, yep, cool.
Or like,
I'd be
I
down
don't
for
know,
that.
random of 5 mats. Just like one of each mat, and you have like 2 replicants on either side, so you get really
wow.
like the full blown art.
Make the
Yeah, you
pre-release
get, like-
kits have chaseables. Wow.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah, the pre-release kits, you don't know which mat you're gonna get, so it's like
No.
2 of 5 random mats.
I mean, they honestly could do it. We have so many characters now; it's
It's
ridiculous.
not. I already have enough playmats, Paul. Let's
Not
But
enough.
I had to start framing them because they're chase mats.
It's gonna take up my whole. It's gonna take up like 3 walls in my room, Paul. Let's not.
Hey, you're on track to meet me where I'm at, Rustin.
That's true. Well, you have banners and stuff too.
Yeah, that's
Show
true. I
off.
do have banners. I have the
Talk to me
I
after
have
the
this
podcast.
new
I have an
Valhalla.
organization tip for you.
So one thing
Thumbtacks.
that was interesting. You're not wrong. That's what I use for mine. I thumbtack them into the wall. Solaris action works well with Gil Lapis, Conqueror of Ataraktia, like really well, I think. Thoughts. So here's a crazy thing to me. You're talking about all this Gil Lapis 2 stuff, which like really wants your opponent to like have stuff RFG. I don't hate that. Also, you guys remember the old Valentina? The red-black Valentina that could tuck cards from your opponent's RFG back into the deck to give a bunch of skills? Like, I've been thinking about that card quite a bit, and it gets cheaper Yeah, but I also think it gets cheaper if your opponent has enough cards in the RFG. So I'm like, that's a card that I kind of want to go back and revisit. Oh no, I think FoW Grimoire's finally gone down. Oh man.
Wow. Pour one out.
Pour one out.
Pour out Dr. Pepper.
Not actually gonna pour out Dr. Pepper, but
and imbibe a little bit.
I gotta remember exactly what this Valentina did.
If a
The one where
resonator
it was
dealt damage by this card.
Shiontina.
Oh, Shiontina.
Yeah. So if a resonator would do damage by this card, put it into a graveyard, remove it from the game with this card in the field, remove this target resonator from the game with total cost 2 or less, pay 0, put target card, non-magic zone card from your opponent's removed area on the bottom of your deck. If you do it, gain swiftness. Keep in mind that she does not have a limit to the number of times she can do that. It's just pay 0, tuck a card. So that's very helpful.
So you don't have mana anymore.
Pay 0, put 3 target non-magic zone cards from your opponent's removed area to the bottom of your deck. If you do, this card gains +5/+5 until the end of the turn. Like, that's a card that I'm going to try to resolve. And I'm going to go, cool, are you a deck that relies on your graveyard? Not anymore. Or your RG? Just every time you try to resolve something, just put on every card back in the bottom of your deck. Be like, you just can't cast cards. It's fine.
It is a 4-drop, but the game has definitely like slowed down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
4
probably
drops are
doable.
castable.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 drops are castable.
And we do have 12 Apostle support, too.
What's a 12 Apostle? Hey, what up?
Yeah, it's a 12 Apostle. I'm sorry, it's a 16 Apostle.
Yeah, it's one of the 16 12 apostles.
Did you include Zalus?
Yeah, she's in there. She's in the 16 12 apostles.
There's
Yeah,
17 12 Apostles now.
Yeah.
So you get Messenger's Familiar, where you can put if this card is put into the graveyard, it's a rook egg for 12 Apostles, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So you can search it out.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
The other cool thing that came out of the video was some kind of tease about a coming announcement. Rio tried to be like, so there's a new design team coming in. We're working with some new people. And then Kawamoto like pulled a joke of like, oh no, there's no new contracts in this set. They're all judgment rulers. And they were like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Are we memeing? We're dabbing on them. Kawamoto-san dabbing on us. Some kind of announcement is coming that they didn't tell us anything about. Something to do with the design team. I'm assuming maybe an expansion of the design team or something. Has me very excited because it certainly doesn't feel like Force of Will is slowing down by any stretch of the imagination. The one thing that has been weird is that we haven't seen EG in a bit. I don't know necessarily why. It's been mostly Rio. That might just be because of some of EG's. I'm friends with EG personally, so it might just be because of some of EG's like other projects that he has going on. I know he's got other stuff going on with My Will Studios, so that might be why. But maybe that's part of what the announcement is. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. A new crossover? I don't know. I got nothing. I got no idea. All I know is I'm excited about it. So they haven't worried me yet. So
Random
I'm still very
acrylic
excited.
rulers in every box.
Oh, I think I've lost. I think my headphones just died.
Oh,
1 second.
poor timing. All right, let's talk
man.
let's talk crap about Jeremy while he's gone,
Technical
right?
difficulties. Back in Alice Origins cluster building with a new R&D team potentially. That'd be really interesting.
We'll love that.
Yeah, me too. I would really like to see an expansion of like going to cons again. I was talking about with this. I was talking about just this idea of the fact that one of the biggest I think design and like game flow and game structure and format health, I Spy's really like in the groove, right? Like they've figured that out. I think they're doing a really good job with that set after set. I mean, not perfect, but like certainly way better than I've dealt with any other card game, and also way better than they were doing in the past. Like that's like they've found the groove, I think there. And so the biggest thing now is just like difficulties with like supply chains, with like communication with stores, and like making themselves known that it's still here, right? And that it's growing. And so that would be kind of cool if the announcement is kind of related to that in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's all I got.
I'm trying to think of like it really does feel like they have been repairing the foundation for the last several years, which kind of goes to how they maybe found the game when they came into it, right? That there might have been some like real serious problems, and they are just now at the stage where they can kind of rebuild. Again, this is all speculation. If we're getting a second R&D team, R&D 2 or whatever, and we're seeing some expansion and we're seeing some movement into like, how do we make this process now that it's functional? How do we make it better? Great. That's the assumption I'm living under. If there was an online simulator, I would love it. Absolutely.
I want to go off of Untap, yeah.
Yeah, like I want to play on my iPad. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to play over webcam.
Okay.
If you give people an online simulator, the game just takes off, because then people can stream it, and if you can stream it, more people will watch it.
That's the big thing.
Huge.
Is I would love to be able to stream like playing a well-run online simulator for FoW, to like try the game out and everything else. That would be
really
huge.
big.
Something that like runs itself, right? So it's not like, oh, I have to know. It's like the game runs it for me. So that's pretty cool. Random question: is there going to be a reprint of the contract packs? Diamond Dude 42. Well, this next set, Judgment of the Rogue Planet, every single box of the set will have one of every H2 contract except for Death Scythe, because there's already 1 million Death Scythe in the world.
Yeah, because they gave 2 out, right? It was like 2 copies per...
Death Scythe had at least 1 copy per box in that like first
box.
reprint. In that like first reprint pack, it was like you always got Death Scythe in every single one, and that was because of the weird printing error where it was like in some regions like insanely short printed for some strange reason. So they fixed that right away. But every single box will come with Memory of Worlds, Launch of Megiddo, Divine Lightning, Soul Absorption, Rocket Dive, and Metamorphosis in its Worlds promo artwork without the Worlds stamp. 1 per box. one pack of those 6 per box. So. Yeah, TCG. Yeah, that is nice. I mean, TCG Meister is a bit of a weird program, but the fact that it doesn't care if you're online or not is nice. That it can just run your pairings for you and be like, it's fine. I don't need to be connected to the internet. It's all good. R, thanks for helping you get back into FoW. Heck yeah, R. Welcome back. Love to see you.
Yeah.
I haven't left, so welcome back.
It's true. He hasn't left. Good news. He didn't have to like get you the wedding present of getting back into the game to get into the game, right? By the way, that's how I got into Force of Will. Jeremy bought me a wedding present, which was SKL.
Was it just a booster case
was that
just
really
on
what
the
I did?
table of
Yeah,
gifts?
I was like Jeremy, help me get into this game. That's my wedding
Oh, that's
present.
right. You like asked me that. Like, no, sorry. You're making it sound like I was like, hey, Paul, I'm at your wedding. Your wedding present is I'm buying you Force of Will cards. No, that's what you made it sound like. You asked me to get you
You honestly
Force
did
of Will
make it
cards.
sound like
The
that.
story is, I said literally, I want to get back into this. I want to get back into the card game. I want to play with my best friend. Can you help me get back into the game? And he's like, here's a full set of SKL.
Here's an
Full
entire
set of SKL.
playset. Yeah, for sure.
That's cringe.
Hey, man, it's all good. You Slacky. Also, DMO73, have you played with Conquer the Black Moon Gil Lapis? I think it's good right now, maybe. It might be. I mean, I think for me, because we're... These are great questions coming in right at the end of the podcast. I love it. For me, I was certainly more willing. I was very much looking forward to exploring the potential for that ruler when we thought that there might be a Lapis extension rule coming. So I was kind of looking into that. But sadly, I haven't paid attention to it that much. And I think part of the reason is because I'm really trying to focus the feature matches for the channel leading up to FoW Fest on new rulers, new decks, and the new ban list, like the new unban list. Like, we're trying to focus. Like, you'll see a feature match this week that shows a feature match involving Captain Hook. Last week we had a feature match that involved Alter. This next week we're gonna have a feature match that involves Change the World, like the three of the like big hits that came off the ban list. And we've been wanting to show that. So that's certainly been our focus for the channel. Certainly something that Gil Lapis is certainly something I'm very, very interested in because of this idea of the new extension rule, and the new kind of like cheat in cards makes me feel like you might be able to bring in Gil Lapis from your sideboard to make him your ruler partway through the game. If I'm understanding how these like breaking the core legacies, if they're like as generic as I think they are going to be in terms of the types of rulers you can bring in, the idea of just being like, oh, well, I'm just going to crack the core and bring in Gil Lapis because you're playing an RFG deck, honestly doesn't seem bad. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see that, explore that space, which I think will be a lot of fun. Malefic Tree Ethereal in Oct. Oh, that's an interesting card. I would not think to play that in Oct. Missed the whole show, including the special guest star. Also was wondering, did they stop using AI art? Yeah! As far as we could tell.
If anything,
Thank you.
Yeah, like the first set had a bunch of that first War of the Suns had a bunch of AI art. The set after that, Crimson Moon Battleground, had one piece of AI card art, being Great Light Dimension Library. That was it. And then Clash of the Star Trees has had none. So they very quickly were like, yeah, people don't like this, so we're gonna not do it. Although Great Dimension Library does look kind of sick. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a cool looking card. But I'm glad that they're not doing any more AI art. They already got rid of it.
Yeah, AI is that's a tricky subject. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very tricky.
It's better to just not explore that space, I think.
Yeah.
You want to create
Especially
your
for,
own
like-
card game without paying artists because you're not going to sell it? Great. Otherwise, please don't.
Yeah, the artwork for this set is insane, as noted by the card that we have on screen, the Replicant Kaguya. Like, freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, in my opinion, anything that has like a major focus to it, like we had that one snake and that wolf and or beast or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, like definitely probably shouldn't have been AI, but like stuff that's like background, like the library, like it's just so like you know overload of information that someone looking at it might not even realize that's AI artwork. So that's not
Yeah.
as bad, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I am going to say this to Diamond Dude, R, and you Slacky, all in the chat. Y'all coming to FoW Fest? Y'all coming to FoW Fest? It's gonna be
Come to
great.
FoW Fest.
Come to FoW Fest, end of this month. It's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of side events. We did acquire. I do want to say huge thanks to, as soon as they send it, which they are on their way to sending it. I do want to say Paragon City Games has graciously donated 35 more ABC starter decks. So we will have 85 ABC starter decks available on site to be able to hand out, which still might not be enough for everyone if we get the attendance that I'm hoping for, which is why we're still saying if you can build an ABC deck, please do, so that we can kind of keep the ones that we have for those who need them. But 85 is better than 50, and so that'll be really awesome.
I know they're free right now, but I hope one of these days they make an actual product for them.
Yeah, for sure.
The collector in me is just like, oh, I wish I had an LGS.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They're very cool. They're very nice. And we will have all 5 of the ABC decks also sleeved up for people to just try if they want to like figure out which color they like the best, kind of thing. 2-pin, all the replicant art we've seen has been gorgeous. Absolutely agreed. Stuck. Oh, you can't come. That's sad. Neat. I'm very excited to see what comes out of this next set. Like, we still got 5 more replicants to go. We've got a lot of solarization cards to go. I just really want to see the J ruler side of these rulers, like these like cores, right? I'm just like, what do you do? What do you do? How do I get in there? How do I crack that open? Also, a little bit terrified of the idea of like being able to cheat in the IU reincarnated into a deck that wasn't singleton at construction because I didn't start the game with IU. That's a little terrifying to me. Just saying. Although my Judge IUs will get a lot of mileage at that point. I'm just saying.
I'll also say, like, I had a moment here where I was like, wait a minute, we have a replicant Gil, which means that Olga is probably replicant Alhamat.
Yeah,
based on
it
what
very
we've seen.
it very much feels like Alhamat, like Olga was made out of Gears trying to abuse the legacy of Gil and his like alternative self being Alhamat, like just trying to. That was where he was created and how he was created. Vampire 999, really excited for FoW Fest this year. You hope to come. You better be coming. It's later this month.
We are going to cyber harass you into coming.
You gotta make it. You gotta check those Airbnbs and local hotels, because at this point in time, there might be one room left in the hotel block, but there's so many other hotels nearby. Rustin stayed in a hotel that was like within walking distance last year.
Robert and I were, I think it was the Hotel Hilton 2 or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah, right nearby.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the same price as like the okay. I don't want to get into the numbers of it, but
sure.
it was a good enough deal. I want to like be like, oh man, the room block is so amazing, because the room block is amazing, but like the hotel that I stayed at was a pretty decent price too.
Yeah. No, there's also Airbnbs in Kalamazoo. A lot of people have like little tiny pocket Airbnbs that you can stay nearby and everything else.
Yeah, the walking distance was nice though.
Yeah. For sure. The walking distance when you're staying in the hotel block is non-existent. You just ride an elevator down and you're there.
I'm looking forward to that. Don't have to walk in the rain.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind if you do feel like bringing a Force of Will cosplay, we are doing a cosplay contest on Friday night. Winner takes home one of the replicant Presea 3D printed deck boxes, as well as gets to get made into a custom FoW Fest promo that we will be handing out in the future sometime. And we also have some good friends of mine, a good friend of mine at Machiko Studios. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right, because I want to give proper credit where credit is due. You can find them on Instagram and all kinds of cool places, wherever social media you can find. Is called Machiko Studios. They are going to be coming and hanging out and getting reintroduced to the game. They played Force of Will a long time ago. I've always been a supporter of it. Glad to have them come out, and they're going to be doing photography and press coverage for the weekend at FoW Fest, which is going to be awesome, including cosplay photo shoots. So if you want to get a cool little free cosplay photo shoot for your FoW cosplay with a professional photographer who's done things like cover New York and London Fashion Week, got press passes. So gonna really be excited to hang out with him and in their studio and do some cool photography stuff with them. So that'll be cool to have that too. This weekend is gonna be insane. It's gonna be so good. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but it's probably the biggest event in Force of Will in the United States in all of 2023.
If you couldn't go to Worlds, this is the next best thing.
Yeah. Worlds without an invite. Worlds level fun without an invite.
Which means I get to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Johnny and I don't top GPs.
Well, it's because you're commentating them, so.
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, that has been it for us for tonight. It has been a wonderful time chatting about all kinds of cool stuff, drinking Dr. Pepper. Rustin, tell the folks what you got going on.
Sure. I have a YouTube channel, Rustin space WW. If you search Rustin Force of Will, some videos will pop up. I just make a slew of things. Majority Force of Will. There's a few things that are non-Force of Will, but a vast majority is Force of Will. I won't go too far into details on it since it is 10 minutes past the usual time, but yeah.
Oh, good. And you also make a bunch of cool proxies and tokens.
Yep.
Which you'll be bringing a bunch of those for FoW Fest, and you can check those out. It's very cool. Gonna be a great time. And but this has been Office Hours. And so in true Rustin sign-off fashion, I've been DMO73, joined by Rustin and Paul, and we'll say, have a good night. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.